Well, there's something about September in the Rocky Mountains that's just special, and it's got that football atmosphere around it that you just love, folks. We've got a great game today. We welcome you in to Richard L. Snowden Stadium. SFL action on the Virtual Football Network. It's the 2-3 Baltimore Vultures coming into town to face the 3-2 Denver Nightwings. Good afternoon, everybody. Some afternoon football to get us started. Cameron Duty here with my buddy DJ Kilgannon, Justin Raside in the stats truck today, and of course Cameron Irvine at SFL HQ. DJ, we've talked off air about what an interesting matchup this is. We know Baltimore, a tough team who's had some tough losses against some very stout opponents. Denver, what a statement win this could be for them if they can beat this Baltimore team that is so notably tough to take over.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, and thank you for the welcome as always, my friend. I think it's going to be a really interesting game. You know, Baltimore coming in a very high-powered offense. They're third in their passing offense coming into this season against a middle-of-the-road Denver passing defense. And, you know, one thing I think we're going to really need to look at in this game is if Denver can actually punch the ball into the end zone. They've struggled a little bit this season with red zone touchdowns. They're bottom 4 in the league, right at 19th. In their red zone touchdowns, and on that same sentiment, they lead the lead in red zone field goals. And you had mentioned off air, field goals are not going to beat Baltimore.
No, some great points to touch on and to look at today in this game, DJ, and I thank you as we get a chance to set up shop here after the return. Denver gets the ball first. We'll introduce you to their starting lineup, starting with quarterback Trellis Blanton, the two halfbacks, Jeremy Mosley and Bailey O'Shaughnessy, the fullback R.E. Mills, the wide receivers, Dylan Lewis, Jay Viper, Michael Goodman, and Logan Kill. The tight end is Mike Kleinecht. The two tackles, Gene Benazzi and Kiara Cool. The guard, Marcella Martin. And at center, D'Angelo De Jesus. Coming out in an I formation to start this first series of the day. We welcome you in. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in and watching with us, as we said, some Saturday afternoon football, and it feels good. Blanton, first pass over the middle, complete to Kill. A good solid gain on first down.
Yeah, Keel has been electric for Denver. I feel like he's really just been their catalyst, if you will, offensively, right? I mean, he's got 20 receptions on the season and just over 300 yards to his name. Him and Dylan Lewis have really been sensational for Denver.
Lined up in the eye with a handoff to O'Shaughnessy, who we expect to see a lot of today. He gets close to that first down marker. 2 to go. On 3rd and 2 coming up. Defensive lineup for Baltimore. Defensive ends Robert Brady and Al Walker. The defensive tackles Ralph Leopold and Nate Brown. The linebackers Frank Smith, Jeff Milanishan, and Alvin Mack. The cornerbacks Ben Stackenpaper and Elijah Warfield and Roy Towers. And the safeties young Giovanni Bolt. There's a Bolt, as a matter of fact. A throw from Blanton. Finds his target. Flag on the play. That's enough for the first if it stands. It was Mike Kleinecht with the reception.
Mike Kleinecht, a very speedy tight end coming out of Boston last season in the SFLM. He was their workhorse. Now getting some work for Denver as you get a clipping call there. Not great after what was a very successful Denver play.
And they get clipping on O'Shaughnessy as we look at the review here of it. On the replay, rather. That's going to set them back, DJ. So 3rd and 17 now. You know they like to frequently work in that rushing attack on third down situations, but that will not be the case here. Empty set. 3 receivers to the right, 2 to the left of Trellis Blanton. And it's a keeper. Oh, wow, an interesting play right there. Maybe trying to throw this Baltimore defense off guard, but no, Giovanni Bolt says, I'm not fooled that easy.
I mean, a solid QB sneak for 16 yards, but might have been the worst call in your playbook to call on a 3rd and 17, I'd argue. But, you know, maybe they just wanted to play it safe. As you mentioned, they're pretty close to their own end zone. Didn't want to risk anything against a good Baltimore defense. So you figured just punt it away, and you give it to one of the GOATs on punt return, Ivory Irvin, taking that one back.
There you go. Yeah, maybe the plan was to give Jordan Bradshaw a little more room to kick there. Thus doing so, Baltimore starts over on their 37-yard line for their first series. Let's introduce you to their starting lineup. 2 quarterbacks you may see in this one today, especially Jack Wigmore at the helm. Johnny Kim's there as well. The halfbacks Ward Murray, David Anderson, and fullback T-Roy Gaines. We'll stop right there for this play on first down. There's a quick throw, and you mentioned Ivory Irvin, the Wigmore to Irvin connection. We could see it early and often in this one.
Yeah, top 10 in receptions, past 400 yards, and a touchdown to his season. He's just sensational. Always has been, really, for Baltimore. And a gorgeous throw. You know, he cuts that post route, gets past the linebacker. And it looks like that was a safety playing down in the box. That was Lucas DeVore down there at that sub-linebacker spot. And it was just a good enough throw to get just over his head.
First set of downs for Baltimore, moving nicely past midfield. Wigmore again. They are moving quick today. This time it's the halfback Warren Murray close to the sticks, and they will say he has enough for another Baltimore first down.
Getting your halfbacks out at the receiver spot, and if they can catch like that and run the routes that good, why not? You know, just throwing it shallow enough to keep it out of the linebacker's grasp. And Warren Murray's going to be able to take the hits while catching the ball like that.
Empty set now for number 9 back there under center. A man in motion here now, though, who will wind up behind him. That is the halfback David Anderson. Now throwing again, third straight play. That one incomplete. Denver able to stop the momentum briefly. Let's continue with this starting lineup for Baltimore. We left off on the wide receivers. We mentioned Ivory Irvin, Ridge O'Nero, and Mac Chima. The tight ends, Benji Matson, Jackson Roberts. The tackle, Ray Arnold, Olivia Bleeker. The 2 guards, Alden Bleeker and Jay Arnold. And at center, Don Johnson. First incompletion of the day for Wigmore. Now we see motion. This brings Mac Chima over to his left side. And Wigmore to throw. Scrambling, and it's tipped. A great pressure there at the last minute by big number 77, Gerald Cumbus, who gets his arms up and thwarts the pass attempt.
Yeah, you see the motion by Baltimore to try and weed out what the defensive scheme for Denver is there. You know, you don't see anyone follow or really move as the motion comes across. Probably tell you it's going to be some zone look. Didn't bring a whole lot of pressure to the quarterback, but Cumbus able to make a big play.
Throwing and able to convert there on third down. That's Red Joe Dinero. And I tell you what, that was a beautiful throw by Wigmore. Just floated that one over the shoulder of his receiver.
And as his last name suggests, Cam, that one was money. Wigmore putting it just out of the grasp of Luke Schreiner there, who was playing coverage on Dinero. And a beautiful throw indeed, because Dinero was really the only one to be able to get a hand on it as Schreiner was kind of playing off his back hip.
I could hear the cha-ching there as he made that reception. Now Irvin back to the all-star, a multi-all-star there. Ivory Irvin right in the middle of the field with another 1st and 10.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about them being a top 3 passing offense in the league up to this point. That's in part because of the veteran presence of Wigmore and the very talented receivers they have, but I don't think anyone, including myself, expected them to come out this pass-heavy.
A 9-time All-Star is Ivory Irvin. That's incredible. The last time, of course, just last season, in season 24. Now, here inside the 10-yard line, Baltimore scrambling, throwing, hit, and incomplete. Good pressure applied that time by Nightwings. They got Wigmore on the run, and then those cornerbacks and safeties did their job back there at the goal line.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to stop this passing attack from Baltimore, one of the best things you can do is keep Wigmore guessing. Keep him on his back foot so he doesn't have enough time to throw the ball.
Empty set once more here. We see motion. Mac Chima. We'll have Luke Schreiner across from him. Set and go. Wigmore pressure coming again. He's actually hit, almost intercepted. He got rid of the football. Chuck Diesel interrupting that one. It's 3rd and goal.
And again, we talked about the pressure that Denver should be sending on Wigmore, and he gets blasted as he fires that one the opposite way. Chuck Diesel could have had a lot of green grass in front of him if he was able to pull that one in.
Yeah, big play early in this game right here, 3rd and goal. If Denver can get Baltimore off of the field on this stop right here, it'll be huge. Wigmore throwing, quick strike, and maybe a little too quick. I don't think that Ivory Irvin was in the position to make a grab for it, and it's 4th and goal.
Yeah, and Baltimore top 10 in red zone touchdowns against a Denver defense who is also top 10 in red zone touchdowns allowed. So they're a pretty solid red zone defense. Baltimore not able to capitalize off of the short field position they had just past the 50 they started out. Now Victor Ironleg going to come out and try and boot this one through.
They call it Iron Leg for a reason. Snap, the hold, everything is just perfect. and Baltimore takes a 3-0 lead after a 10-play drive, which leaves 6:08 remaining in this first quarter.
You know, Cam, one thing we did talk about prior to coming on the air was, you know, these teams have met 7 times over the history of the SFL, going all the way back to season 14. Denver won the first and the 4th meeting of the series. However, Baltimore has won the last 3. They've been pretty dominant as of late against these Nightwings.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you talk about what a statement win this would be for Denver, coming in 3-2. Not a knock on them at all. Their victories this season have come across some teams that are huddling around 500. For Baltimore, they have had a very tough sled to have to try to maneuver early in this season. So this would really kind of show us Denver could play with the big boys if they're able to get a victory here over Baltimore. So a lot of emphasis on this game, week 9 in this SFL season. Of course, you mentioned the historical standpoint, wanting to snap that 3-game winning streak that Baltimore's on, as O'Shaughnessy gets 5.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention what's even happening this season. Denver finds themselves near the bottom, or no, I believe they're in 2nd, excuse me, in a Central Division that they won last season under Chicago. And, you know, Minnesota's at the bottom of that division, but they can turn it around on a dime.
Jeremy Mosley there with the carry, trying to turn the corner, as you mentioned that, on the left side there. He gets a good run, and actually going to give him the first down. Interesting, too, DJ, is the fact that, you know, that first drive was negated by that clipping penalty. It felt like Baltimore had momentum. Of course, it just stalled after that. Now O'Shaughnessy again with the carry. Oh, some tough yards there that he's able to ground and pound out. And just a really good, solid run on that first down play. But that guy is tough to bring down.
Yeah, Denver, you know, rushing-wise, they haven't been as amazing as you think they would. But against a Baltimore rushing defense that hasn't played completely up to par, you know, this might be the time to get it going.
On 2nd down, they tried to go back to the well there with the rushing attempt. They give it to Mosley. He stopped right on a dime, brings up 3rd and 3.
And so after some unsuccessful runs to get past that stick, I wonder if they, you know, go to a pass now against a strong 4-3 look from Baltimore.
And they fake handoff, play action, one-handed grab right over the middle. Always rely on number 82, Logan Kill. We've seen this guy in the games we've called this past earlier portion of the season. Yeah. He always comes up with big plays when his QB needs it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the play call there from the Denver coaching staff. You run a play action on the short downage scenario to try and draw those linebackers forward in fear that it is a run. They do that, and they throw it right over the top of them.
Passing yards per game is something, as we talked about earlier, as O'Shaughnessy takes the screen and gets 2. You know, for Denver coming into this one, just, you know, right around 215 passing yards per game. They're very balanced. They like their rushing attack to be over 100 per game. But we talked about those are going to be some of the key ingredients that's going to take to beat this Baltimore team, is being able to really have a good passing attack, move the ball down the field urgently at times if you need, and then punch it in for TDs. 2nd and 8, handoff here to O'Shaughnessy. Look at that, the truck stick. You gotta love it. He's one of the best at it. And that's going to bring up a 3rd and 3 situation, DJ, that we kind of find ourselves in early in this game with Denver. Again, toying with the, you know, do you run, do you pass here?
Yeah, and I think they've set it up well, because after the previous 3rd and short, you know, after they ran that play action concept, now Baltimore, the linebackers, really have to be careful of when they shoot the gaps and when they don't.
Big 3rd and 3. They go back to the air. And what a nice play right there by Walls. Number 89 coming off the bench there and doing a fine job on that route. Curling inward there to make that reception.
Yeah, beautiful hitch route just to stop in the middle of the defense. Let things develop. And it's either that your receivers on the outside are going to get open and your linebackers will, you know, stay on that hitch, or they'll leave the hitch and leave it open.
A quick release, Blanton that time over the middle finds Michael Goodman. And we know about this promising rookie. We got to see him a lot in the minor league last year, DJ, and he's fitting in very comfortably here in Denver.
Yep, the former SFLM Season 11 MVP. He was dominant as a New York Gargoyle, and he's really coming into his own as a Nightwing.
The 9-yard gain brings up 2nd and 1. A fast-moving first quarter here. Very methodical drives by both of these teams. Baltimore scored a field goal on a 10-play drive. Denver looking to bounce right back. Oh, that run.
Wow.
That is Mosley who gets tackled what we thought was behind the line. Of course, we know that that marker there is digital. The chain gang says 1st and 10.
Yeah, and not going to see any laundry come onto the field from Baltimore's favor, so it looks like they agree with the call.
Now O'Shaughnessy again, maneuvering the lanes. They have to tackle him up high to get him down because just right around the midsection or the knees just won't do it. They have to literally physically pull this guy down.
Yeah, that's right. He is a tough runner, one of the toughest, I'd argue. 73 rushes coming into the week, top 15. A very long runner too. If he gets a little bit of green grass in front of him, he takes it a long way.
They give it off to the fullback, R.E. Mills, who also gets a couple before he is stopped by Alvin Mack, number 56, the outside linebacker, who in his 11 seasons in the league, he spent all 11 right here in Baltimore.
He has. He's been a captain of their defense for a very long time and continues to be that predominant presence in the middle.
Now Blanton, he didn't see the pressure coming. And pressure indeed as another 11-season man right there. Nate Brown comes in and puts all 343 on top of Trellis Blanton.
They're coming into this week, top 10 in the leagues in sacks. He swims off that block and just a punch to the face of Trellis Blanton after what was such a tactical, well-calculated drive. One little slip-up on 3rd down is all it takes to stop it in its tracks.
Yeah, what a play. And the kick is good. Oh, my goodness, it just curves back in. I was hesitant there to call that field goal as Bradshaw, they were able to squeak it between the uprights, but they got a little too close for comfort.
It certainly was very close, and Bradshaw just a kick attempt shy of top 20 all time, and 3 field goals made all time to make that top 20 as well. He's been around for a good while, a very talented kicker, and if he would have, that would have been a little bit more right, it would have missed, and I would have been very shocked.
Yeah, all tied up at 3, folks, and what a game we've got thus far in this one. There's a touchback. They bring it out to the 20. Real quick, talk about Nate Brown being top 10 in sacks there. That is his 5th sack on the season. And that really changed the complexion of that drive there for Denver. It looked like they were going to be able to easily get down to the goal line there and possibly punch one in, but they settled for the field goal, and we're all tied up at 3 here, folks, on the Virtual Football Network. Baltimore back to work. Wigmore throwing tipped, and that was dangerously close to being an interception by Blake Prine.
Yeah, Blake Prine, the former Houston Headhunter, the 3-time All-Star, his first season in Denver, been playing really well, just shy of 30 tackles, and very prominent in the pass defense as well, as we saw there, the very athletic play to jump up and get that one.
Folks, we will mention this Denver starting defense in just a moment after this play. Wigmore throwing the pressure again. Hands all over it. I think that is number 41, Chuck Diesel. That's a good time to mention these guys. Defensive ends, Gerald Cumbus and Hugo Reynosa. Defensive tackles, Logan Gardner and Joseph Sabolka. The linebackers, Chuck Diesel, as you just seen, Luis Quintana, John Martin, and Jimmy Burgett. The cornerbacks, Jimmy Hatsis, Luke Schreiner, Stephen Goodman, Ted Haynes, and Parker Thomason at safety. It's Lucas DeVore, Blake Prine, and Tank Bennett. One more throwing and falling and be able to bring that one in was Ivory Irvin. Now, I seen a big hand come up there. I couldn't see who that was trying to deflect that one away, but these Nightwings are ball hawks at the moment. They've just about had another.
Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was Tank Bennett who was trying to make that play underneath, and if he was just a yard or two further back, closer to Ivory Irvin, he would have had a play on it, but Wigmore is so talented about getting the balls over the defenders' heads like that.
Yeah, it gets just enough air under it. Folks, that's quickly quarter number 1. We're all tied up at 3. You are watching some afternoon football on a Saturday here, the SFL, the Virtual Football Network. Welcoming you back in. Camera duty here with DJ Kilgannon, Justin Reside, and the Stats Truck and Cameron Irvine at SFL headquarters. We thank you for being with us. Empty set as we start the second quarter for Wigmore. Back to the air with pressure coming around the edges. He drops it off to Ivory Irvin, and it's a fight to get him down. He kept those legs churning, and on first down, he gets 8.
Yeah, stayed east to west for most of that run before he finally had some space ahead of him to cut it up north and carve through the middle of that Denver defense. And now, after what has been a predominantly pass offense here for Baltimore, they finally have some people in the backfield.
Hand off, stiff arm. T-Roy Gaines, the Hall of Famer right there, getting a carry. And you know, with T-Roy, when he gets a touch of the football, he usually makes it count. Very valuable carries by that guy.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, he averages over 4 yards a carry on 36 rushes.
Wigmore now with pressure coming, and he ends up on his stomach because on his backside there was big number 99, Hugo Reynosa.
Yeah, I don't know how often you're going to see a 6'7", 315-pound man move that quickly. The 9-season veteran here on the defensive line of Denver, making a huge play to make this second down a little bit formidable here for these Vultures.
Second and 15, pushing them back here, and they respond with an empty set as Wigmore throws quickly into double coverage, looking for Irvin, but it's just good job downfield. We seen Tank Bennett down there was one of the guys who was able to thwart those efforts, and a big 3rd and 15 now for the Vultures.
Yeah, if you're going to throw it to anyone in double coverage, Ivory Irvin would be the gentleman to throw it to. But Tank Bennett there on the coverage with another night wing make that hole seemingly impossible to throw through.
3rd and 15, what can Baltimore do here? They throw quick, intended for Irvin, but that one was just, in my opinion, I'm not in the quarterback's head, but I feel like he's seen the pressure coming and he just bailed on the play, lived the play another day.
Oh, I mean, that's completely... I can imagine where Wigmore's head was at. Gerald Cumbus looked like a bus coming straight at him. He was untouched across the line, and he would have got blown up if he held that ball for another second.
So on the punt today for the first time is Tommy Powers, and that's a good last name for him with a lot of power behind that leg. This one's fielded around the 15, brought out across the 20 down to the 24-yard line by Jay Viper. Folks, it's no surprise, the VFN is live again. We ask you to please support our hard-working crew by smashing the like button, subscribing, and commenting on this video. It really helps the channel out. So turn your notifications on so you'll never miss a live stream, a highlight, or a podcast. And as always, we thank you for your support of the Virtual Football Network and the Simulation Football League. So 1st and 10 here for Denver with a nice opportunity now. Hand off to O'Shaughnessy again, running tough, shedding tackles, and a gain of 4. Some of the hardest 4 yards you'll ever see gained on 1st down.
Yeah, against a tough Baltimore defense and a tough running back for Denver, it's going to be some hard-hitting runs up the middle. So 2nd and 6 here. As we expect this first half to move rather quickly. The carry to Mills. We're seeing a lot of, not many clock stoppages, we'll put it that way. We've seen a lot of ground attack out of Denver. And for Baltimore, a lot of passes that's kind of targeted the middle of the field to keep the clock running. We expect this to be a pretty fast game here. That's certainly looking like it.
3rd and 3. Toss play, though O'Shaughnessy. Is he going to be able to get out of it? He does, like Houdini, able to escape. He gets the first around the edge along the sidelines, and this drive will continue.
Talk about tough running on what should have been a loss of 2 or 3. O'Shaughnessy turns it into a 1st down and a little bit more. A very dangerous arm on that man. It's very stiff, and it'll let you taste some turf from time to time.
Yeah, that just hurts sometimes watching up here from the booth. Hope I never run into it there. We've got man in motion here as we've got Kleinette going from left to right, lining up there at the edge of the lineup formation. It's a handoff to Jeremy Mosley, and that's just snuffed out. And you say, Jeff Milanishin, saying, not so fast, my friend.
Now, it's one of the least successful runs we've seen from Denver up to this point, resulting in a loss. And, whenever you stack the box with enough people and you have enough receivers out there, somebody's going to get through it.
Pressure coming again right in his face, and he's able to deliver as he finds Logan Keel Really not even sure how he's able to fit that football in there. I'd love to see a replay. We'll get an opportunity to here. He got blasted at the end of that play, too, talking about Travis Blanton.
Well, and you saw both of those linebackers shading towards the route. Blanton did a terrific job of just throwing the ball hard enough to where those linebackers, even with them shading to it, just didn't have enough time to get a hand towards it.
The fresh set of downs just past midfield. As we see Dylan Lewis sent in motion, he'll line up at the top of the screen. 2 receivers at the top, 1 to the bottom. And they give back to O'Shaughnessy. And I have to commend Denver early in this game. I think this is a fantastic mix of run, pass, kind of enough to leave Baltimore on their toes.
Yeah, definitely. You know, they're passing when they need to. They're doing it successfully. It's very calculated right now. You know, a lot of good run setups. You know, mixing a good mix of outside and in. Some nice short and medium passes.
Oh, and a tough hit there. O'Shaughnessy used to delivering the boom, if you will. Well, he got one that time, upended by Giovanni Bolt. He gets the first, but boy, he took a price there too.
Yeah, a lot of momentum behind that bolt of lightning, shooting all the way across the field. Was set up on the other side of the defense, read the run pretty quickly, and made his way over there for a very hard hit.
But if he does get the first down, you know, I'll go back to your point just a moment after this play here as Blanton throwing just short of Keel right at his heels. It's incomplete. But, you know, to Baltimore's credit, DJ, you know, that is what they're so good at, is disrupting a team and making them become one-sided. We've seen it for many, many years. Teams come in with some great play schemes. Yep. They think they're going to be very balanced, and then Baltimore can just disrupt you in ways that you'd never imagine.
Yep, that's very true.
Showing pressure here, and oh yeah, it's picked up nicely. Blanton throws one-on-one coverage. It's intercepted. He was trying to find Jay Viper, but instead it landed in the hands of Roy Towers, who went right up there and snagged that thing.
Yeah, you know, it's just man coverage there for Baltimore. And you see Ben Towers, it looks like he's a little bit behind as Viper takes the cut and starts making his way towards the middle of the field, but he's a quick enough defensive back to where he can catch back up once he's behind, and especially when you're playing on the inside of the receiver, he's a good enough talent to where he can jump that.
We talked about Baltimore and how good they are at creating disruptions. Roy Towers with his 3rd interception of the season. Now Wigmore back at the helm, throwing quickly for Irvin, who gets the first.
You know, in this Baltimore passing attack, I mean, it's just been offense just looking completely one-sided right now.
Yes, certainly. You know, and I challenge, it's hard to find any other quarterbacks out there that just has the quick release that Jack Wigmore has. I mean, honestly, he could just sling that football and fit it in some tight spaces. Chemistry between him and his wideouts are fantastic. Speaking of an empty set here, Wigmore to throw once more complete. He finds his man, the halfback Murray, right at midfield.
You know, again, getting their running backs and involved in the pass game, putting them out in that wide receiver spot, and a nice job of the falling back tackles to pick up the block, save Wigmore of a rough hit. And it's really seeming right now, whenever Baltimore has enough time for Wigmore to throw, lets the routes develop downfield, they're very successful at carving up this defense. I think Denver just needs to continue the pressure.
Blake Prime to be credited with that tackle there on him. One-handed grab, a thing of beauty by Reggio De Niro. Like we said, every time he catches the football, we hear dollar signs and cash registers. And there's another great play. We'll take a look at the replay. One-handed, a thing of beauty.
Now they got to start playing a cha-ching over the loudspeakers here in Denver.
Empty set once more. It's beginning to look very fluid, very, very natural here for Baltimore as this second quarter rolls on. Throwing short, it's complete. A good job of Baltimore covering the play there is Benji Matson, the tight end, only able to get 4 before being stopped again. That is Chuck Diesel in on that action.
Yeah, he swallows it up, pushing him past the 1,000 career tackle mark. Huge milestone for him on what was a nice play.
Yeah, congratulations indeed. A good stop. Now we give it back to T. Roy Gaines, who tries to weave his way through, and another 3rd and 3 situation. 3rd and 3 and a 3-3 ball game with 3:30 remaining in the second.
And one of the many 3rd and 3s we've seen tonight.
The only thing that could have made that Bears had that been in the third. We may get a chance to do it again. I don't know. Wigmore throwing short, setting up the screen, and Murray pushed out of bounds. Literally the Nightwings defense did a little bit of bullying there, as that was number 21 who came in and did a great job on the stop. That's Showtime Jimmy Hatsis.
It is, and as a young player in this league, as a rookie, Jimmy Hatsis, his first season in the SFL, having enough awareness, if you will, to notice the pass underneath and shoot down quick enough from your coverage over the top to be able to make the stop short of the sticks. And again, one thing we talked about, Cam, very early on in this one as the game was starting, red zone touchdowns are what's going to be the telltale of this one. Still haven't seen one up to this point through 2.5. Or 1.5, excuse me.
Exactly. The defense has been able to bend, not break. And a good hold there by Johnny Kim sets up a great kick by Victor Ironleg as Baltimore takes the 6-3 lead. And you're right, this is a game that we felt had that possibility, as you see Viper running over a couple of players out there. But it felt like it had the possibility to go this way if both these defenses play like they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was to mention how Denver had struggled in the red zone, right? And at least with scoring touchdowns. And Baltimore being an offense that is so quick to get down the field, and especially when they play like this, just straight passing.
So for Denver now, looking to march back down the field, we see the young Michael Goodman there in motion. Let the play clock get down to 4 before snapping. Now Blanton throwing quickly. Logan Kill, gain of 6 on first down. And in a perfect world, you hold this football for the final 2 minutes and 39 seconds and end up with a score before halftime if they can make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what you want to see. It would let you go into the locker room with a lot of momentum at your back.
As we said, gain of 6 on first down. They go back to R.E. Mills, who disappeared in the pile for a minute, comes out the other side with a first down.
It comes clear on the other side, past the sticks now, and as the time in this quarter drops down, we might see one more snap just before the 2-minute warning. Eventually, they're going to have to stop running the ball.
They will not snap it, but it does take us to the 2-minute warning. And folks, let me remind you, as if you didn't know, you're watching the Simulation Football League on the Virtual Football Network. It's Cam Reedy here with DJ Kilgannon. As we mentioned, Justin Raside and the Stats Truck and Cameron Irvine at SFL headquarters. Empty set here for Denver as we start the final 2 minutes of this first half. Jay Viper going in motion. We'll put 4 receivers to the top side for QB number 3. Pressure coming, he rolls out. Pressure now behind him. He almost threw a deadly interception. That was right there in the old breadbasket for Al Walker, just not able to come up with it. And that will bring up 2nd and 10, but that was a scary-looking play for a minute.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Blanton had some time to throw. He rolled out to his left side. A lot of pressure was being brought at the right side. One of the guards fell back, caught his block off the outside. It seems like he was still just a bit panicked after what presided.
Viper moving in motion once more. 2nd and 10. Blanton throwing pressure around the edges, setting up the screen. O'Shaughnessy looking for the stiff arm, not going to be able to utilize it. Dragged down from behind by Ben Stackenpaper.
I mean, as an offense, that's the spot you want to be in, right? You have your lead back out in space against a corner. But that time, the corner won the battle that often isn't won by that position group. Brings down the back behind, or right at the stick.
Final 90 seconds of this first half and throwing. Oh my goodness, Blanton delivered a strike, and it looked like he was going to be brought in. I believe that was Dylan Lewis trying to make the one-handed grab. It gets jarred loose, and Denver will have to punt.
Yeah, first time he had been targeted tonight, and would have been an insane catch if he was able to pull it in, but a really hard hit from one of these vultures over the middle. They call that a hospital pass for a reason, because it's looking scary after you get hit with one of those.
Jordan Bradshaw in to punt, trying to pin this Baltimore team back. A fair catch will be called for at the 24-yard line. So now this is interesting. With Denver, it's not what you wanted to see. You hope to hold on to the football, get out of here with the football at the end of the half. That was not what transpired. And now for Baltimore, this is a team that is proficient in a 2-minute drill.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with how their offense has been playing up to this point.
Empty set, we've seen that most of the day here for Baltimore. Wigmore throwing quickly over the head of the intended target. He was going for Irvin once more, who has had a busy day catching these footballs.
Yeah, he's already been thrown to 12 times in this game, Cam, and it's only the first half.
Unreal. I mean, sometimes that's the full day. Some wide receivers targeted less than that in a full 4 quarters. Empty set again. On second down, pressure coming, throwing. It is complete to Warren Murray, who again has acted more as a wideout than a halfback in this game so far.
Yeah, and up to this point, they have utilized him quite a bit in the receiving game. That he's caught 9 passes up to this point for over 120 yards. Averages is right under 14 per catch, and that number's certainly going to go up as he only continues to be involved in the pass game.
This has been a little air it out day for Wigmore already. 22 attempts on the day. And like we said, we're just halfway through, folks. Wigmore throwing, coverage tipped. We almost had a beautiful one-handed interception by Luis Quintana there, who was in position to do so. Also, you had Blake Prine back there playing a really tough spot, but able to cause a little disruption at 2nd and 10 now.
I've seen Wigmore complete a few of those, was able to sail it over those linebackers' heads. But that time, Quintana was just talented enough and quick enough to get a hand on it.
Wigmore unloads. It's incomplete. Some contact there. No flag. Looked like it was clean. Schreiner, though, and Irvin, they were very, very physical over there on the edge.
Certainly were. Love that style of football, and especially with the passing attack. That's almost the most physicality you're going to get. And again, it was another look where Wigmore was pressured and was almost forced to throw it out to a read that wasn't fully developed.
3rd and 10, one man in the backfield. He's throwing again, as you'd expect.
Wow.
And somehow, tell me how, Reggio Dinero, cha-ching, able to come up with the reception on a crucial 3rd down. They get the timeout to stop the clock. Holy cow.
That was sensational coverage from Parker Thomas. Maybe the coverage was so good he didn't expect the ball to come his way, because it did, and it got past him and into the hands of Dinero.
You couldn't flank anybody any closer than what he did. I mean, he was blanketing the intended receiver there. Wigmore throwing quickly again into a sea of black jerseys. Again, lucky that one just falls to the ground harmlessly. Once more, Blake Prine was in the area.
Yeah, we've been calling his name quite a bit. Prine's been all over the place when it comes to batting these passes down.
35 seconds remaining in this first half of play. Another empty set for Baltimore. We see the tight end Benji Matson going in motion. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right of Wigmore. Snaps the ball, throws, complete to Chima. Still on his feet. They push him out of bounds with 29 seconds left. But that was a very costly play right there for Denver. They let him get out of their grasp and then able to get out of bounds, so not have to burn a timeout or anything. They get lucky there.
Yeah, after a quiet first half, gets a catch to end it. And, it's got to be noted for Baltimore, after an offensive style that has gotten you 2 field goals, 2 red zone trips so far in this game. It's got to be easy when it comes to that 2-minute drill, Cam, and you don't have to change your offense up. You just keep doing what you're doing.
I mean, this empty set right here, we have seen that now out of the shotgun formation.
Yeah.
We've seen that often today. Jerome Riley, the wide receiver, is in on this play. Play clock down to 4. Snap goes quickly. It's intercepted. It disappeared into a crowd. And look who come up with it. The defensive tackle, Logan Gardner, number 71.
Wow, Logan Gardner, the first interception of his 7-year career. And oh my goodness, it looked like he was getting pancaked and then just saw the ball coming by him and somehow managed to pull it in.
You know, I don't have that type of concentration when I'm sitting comfortably in a recliner, let alone being pancaked. Able to what a play, big guy. Congratulations. And, boy, more importantly, that stop was a very good-looking drive. Whew. Short pass over the middle to Dylan Lewis. Yeah, the defense just bailed out these Denver Nightwings.
They did. And after a first half that, you know, lived up to our expectations. We talked about how Baltimore's successful in the pass game and how this game was going to come down to red zone trips. We see another red zone trip fall short, another touchdown let loss, and a huge pick.
One final play for Denver, going deep, one-handed grab from Lewis, who had some open field, but wisely covered deep downfield there by the safeties to stop anything from transpiring. And that takes us into the locker rooms for what's been an exciting game, an exciting first half. We do need a breather, DJ.
The most exciting 9-point first half I've been a part of in recent memory.
Well, we're glad to be here, proud to do it indeed. SFL action on the Virtual Football Network, Cameron Duty with DJ Kilgannon as we welcome you into the SFL halftime report. Baltimore leads 6-3. We thought it could go this way. We'll see if we're proven wrong at the start of the third quarter. But my friend, give me your thoughts and what you'd like to maybe see in the adjustment category for these two teams.
You know, I'd maybe like to see a few more runs out of Baltimore. I mean, your pass game is working. You're 50% completion with Wigmore for 175 yards. Ivory Irvin has 5 catches out of the 15 he has been thrown to at this point. But I think if you get your run game a little bit more involved, it'll open up that pass game even more. You need to keep Denver honest. Up to this point, we've only seen T-Roy Gaines run the ball twice. That's it.
You know, it's a good point. It almost feels as if Denver has become very complacent and expecting to defend the pass. And for Baltimore, or excuse me, for Denver on offense, I think you're right about that. Continuing to pound the rock with O'Shaughnessy. They've had the best balance so far between run and pass of these two teams up to this point.
By a good margin.
Welcoming you back in to Richard L. Snowden Stadium for the start of this second half. And thank you guys for being here with us as always. Some Saturday afternoon football, which you gotta love it. You know, Saturday in September playing football, it's a special time indeed.
You can't get much better. You wake up, right? Sleep in a little bit. You wake up, you realize it's Saturday. You don't got to go to work, and you have football to watch.
I don't need much more in my life, to be honest with you.
I'm right there with you.
I'm a simple guy. You give me a day off at home with the family watching some football, and you know what? This is a good time to say the Virtual Football Network has more football than anywhere. You never have to go a single month without football. Mike Chima in motion. To start the second half, Wigmore once again to throw. Flag on the play, and that's Ivory Irvin who makes a couple men miss. It's a foot race. Again, the flag going to be the determining factor. Irvin stands out of a tackle and gets to the end zone. Now let's see what the call is.
That's on the defense. It is.
It is.
Wow.
Of course, they will decline the penalty. Why would you not? And a big touchdown right out of the gate. I think that was Schreiner they got for the infraction there. But what about Ivory Irvin? He makes men miss down there at the initial reception. Then he gets down towards the goal line, spins out of another. And I don't feel like we could appreciate that play enough due to the penalty that was looming overhead as the extra point is good. But a beautiful play, and this game has changed quickly.
After 13 seconds into this half, Ivory Irvin explodes for a 79-yard bomb all the way downfield. Easily his longest of the season and longest of anyone in a Baltimore uniform up to this point. And I don't think I can see that spin move on replay enough. I mean, Jimmy Hatsis looked like a bloodhound chasing down an ex-con. I mean, completely chased him down to about the 5 or 10. Oh, wow.
And meanwhile, a lot of action coming out of the gate here as Kill gets a great return. We'll see what this flag is.
Another on Denver.
Yeah, Denver falling apart coming out of the locker rooms here. They get clipping. That's the second time today they've had a clipping call, this time on Jay Viper, who usually gets the returns here.
Yep. You know, another notion to make in this one, Denver, bottom of the league in penalties. You know, they let up a few penalties a game. They're 16th in the league. Baltimore, they don't have a single one up to this season's point.
That is incredible. What discipline. That's discipline you expect from a championship organization, no doubt.
Absolutely.
So after that 80-yard touchdown bomb from Wigmore to Irvin, Denver now has to regroup. They felt like they were right there just on the precipice of doing something big at the end of that half. Now they find themselves down by 10 quickly here. Now, Blanton throwing to kill, 7-yard gain. And I think it's most important here, wouldn't you, DJ, if you are Denver, you can't panic here. You can't press the panic button just because you're down by 10.
No, absolutely not. I think you need to stick with what works, stick with a little bit of your run concepts that have given your back so much room to run up to this point. And, I mean, they don't need to switch up much. They just need to finish, really.
I think one thing that is, as you said, that finish is an exclamation point around. Yep. Let's put it that way, because these nice sustained drives at this point now has to finish with a touchdown. 3rd and 4, I formation. Now it's going to be very crucial for him here to be able to keep this drive going as we have motion Logan Keel. We've seen him in 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 so much in this game up to this point. Now Blanton throwing quickly. It's picked up. Dylan Lewis, and he's got room to run across the 50. It's going to be a foot race to the 20, to the 15, and is brought down by young Vaught, who was running for his life there to keep him out of the end zone. A beautiful play by Denver.
Yeah, after a half full of well-sustained, technical, grinding grit drives, if you will. Denver takes a page out of Baltimore's book, and a huge explosion, 64 yards downfield for Dylan Lewis, pushes them right into the red zone. And Cam, this is where we need to see them finish their drives.
Yes, exactly. You just took the words right out of my mouth, my friend. Did you see the physicality there on the line between Lewis and the defender? What a great play, great fight there by Lewis. Now Blanton throwing as he's hit. He was trying to find his man in the open field, and it looked like he had Michael Goodman in his sights, but it falls incomplete. But yeah, you're right. This is so crucial right here. Like we said, exclamation points, neon lights, highlighting it, whatever way you possibly can. You got to finish this drive. You're at this point. You got to punch it in. You got to punch the ticket. Now, O'Shaughnessy. And I love it. I think that's a great mix-up right there. You had the big pass play. You tried to go pass once more. Now you settle back into what you're comfortable with. Give O'Shaughnessy the ball. Gain of 9.
Completely agree with you. We saw very soft coverage from the corners on the outsides, and now it's a very packed-up box for Baltimore in what certainly looks like a running formation here from Denver.
Yep, in the eye, of course, you see Baltimore just stacking everybody, trying to push back. Jeremy Mosley gets close to the end zone. He's just stopped just short. He gets up celebrating the 1st and goal. But I tell you what, that was easily his best run of the day. They've had him covered. Yeah,
absolutely, and I think they made the right decision running that one up the gut. And you didn't score like you had mentioned, but you get the first down. Now you have 3 more attempts to try and break through this Baltimore seal.
3 attempts, 1 yard. The battle of the big guys up front. 1st and goal, they go pass. And right there is Connect. Wow. And he is down. Oh, man, they had the play, they had the formation, but he had to come back for it. He slips and falls, and Mack tags him right there before he gets back across the goal line. Oh, my gosh.
Go from 1 yard to 1 inch almost, as now they're going to bolster up again and try and punch it across.
And he's stopped. He is denied. R.E. Mills pushed backwards by Frank Smith.
All right. Now you're back 2 yards away after another unsuccessful run. And after that pass, I'd love to see him go through the air again, trying to attack those outsides like they did previously to Connect.
Yeah, split backs. But they give it to O'Shaughnessy, who directs traffic and walks in for the touchdown. They did what we needed them to do. They were able to respond, and they scored the touchdown.
Yeah, that was just a gorgeous run concept there. They had so many people tucked inside the box there. The Baltimore defense did that run guiding its way towards the outside. If your offensive lineman and tight end on that side are able to hold your blocks and protect that edge, it was going to be money all the way, and that's exactly what they did. O'Shaughnessy, untouched, crosses the goal line for the first time for Denver in this one, and it's only been right over 3.5 minutes, and now we have 2 touchdowns compared to that first half where we had none.
So forth, going to tell it who had totally stark comparisons. For Bailey O'Shaughnessy, that's his 2nd touchdown of the season. That had to feel good, making it back into the promised land. They now trailed just by 3, and they put a little bit of heat on this Baltimore offense that, of course, is no stranger to the pressure. But this defense, except for that big play that was exploited at the start of the 3rd quarter, they've played pretty locked down coverage. Yeah,
they certainly have, and that explosive play might make it look like on paper they haven't been there the whole time, but they really have.
Wigmore again with an empty set and plenty of time to look. Tipped! Guess who? Chuck Diesel. If it's not Blake Prine, it's Chuck Diesel making headlines today. Incomplete.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing far back enough to where he can completely survey the eyes of the quarterback, read where he's going to go, and make a play on it the other way.
6:11 remaining in this 3rd quarter of play. Like we said, no touchdown first half, 2 in the first 3 minutes or so here in this one. Now, Mac Chima along the edge there, around the numbers at the 40, able to very soft hands-ish reel that one in. And I love watching him because look how natural and how just calm he is in the motion there of receiving the football and running with it.
Just so fluid in the motions, right? On the run. Doesn't miss a step. His hands don't have to move very far. Wigmore places it right on his chest, and he can continue running in stride.
Now pressure coming. Let's pick up nicely, and it's intercepted. Oh my goodness, it's coming back the other way. There's a little showtime for you. Jimmy Hatsis with the INT, and like we said, they've kept the pressure on Wigmore today.
Yeah, lights, camera, action, if you will, because it's showtime. 21 takes it the other way, and a huge turnover from Baltimore as they force it a little bit too much there.
For Jimmy Hatsis, give that man the game ball. That rookie, his first interception of his career, and it came against one of the SFL's top quarterbacks.
Yep.
A good moment indeed, so congratulations to that young man. And it puts Denver in great field position. We see Jay Viper in motion. Toss play right side to O'Shaughnessy, who's got room. Got a stiff arm. Gets 8, no 9 on first down. And, yeah, you can just see, you can feel the pendulum kind of swinging here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that offset pitch to O'Shaughnessy feels almost automatic at this point, because the receivers on that outside edge are able to hold their blocks on the corners so well that he has so much room to run. Just at about 5 yards of carry, and as they chug along almost into the red zone again, you like to think what would happen if Baltimore had the same style of running attack on the other side.
Mosley with the first down. I tell you what, like we said, they've really had his number most of this game, but when it has came down to it, that guy has made some pretty big plays this 3rd quarter already, and again, another conversion there for first.
Yeah, he's ran the ball 6 times for 9 yards, most of those yards coming in these last 2 runs he's had.
One man in the backfield behind Trillis Blanton. We see motion on this formation, lining up at the left side of the line. And now Blanton throwing with pressure in his face. He's able to unload. He finds number 85, Mike Clarnett, the rookie, who gets 6. And like we said, this has been a fantastic mix of run-pass all day long, and it's continuing with 4:25 remaining in this 3rd.
Yeah, he's a scary mismatch, Cam. He's about as fast as a receiver, but when you look at him, stands at 6'5", 240. That is a unit.
It is. Now Mosley again, kind of weaving through traffic, shrugging off tackles. Fights hard to get the carries that he does get, or the yards he gets, excuse me. And a 3rd and 4 coming now. We talked about it. We said it, DJ. They needed to get in the end zone, and now they need to do it 2 times in a row. That would be huge.
It really would. It would completely change the narrative of what we've talked about their red zone offense to be.
Bland with pressure coming, and he holds it for too long. He thought the pressure on the edge was picked up, but he didn't see big Nate Brown coming through again to level him.
Yeah, the pressure for Baltimore has been stout up to this point, and a team that has really not put up too many numbers on the stat sheet as far as sacks go. Nate Brown gets another one, his second on the day, and him and Alvin Mack are the only two Vultures to have a sack this point in the season.
Oh, talk about close. I think that Jordan Bradshaw has a thing for the suspense. I think he's got a flair for the drama. He's able to squeak that one in once more, and I think we'll get another look at it here. Ooh. Oh, my goodness.
Comfort.
Well, you know, we've always joked. We've always joked, DJ, that they must be able to hear us up here on the broadcast because whatever we say, sometimes the opposite happens down on the field. I think in this case, he could hear us say that we didn't think it could get any closer on that earlier field goal, and he said, watch this.
Yeah, I mean, scare the coaches to death, why don't you, Jordan Bradshaw, as that field goal attempts puts him 20th all-time for kickers in the SFL.
Oh, congratulations. And now, Jordan Bradshaw, I don't think it could get any closer without being a point.
Yeah,
You've proved your point, my friend.
Unless he doinks it and makes it.
And that could happen. Stay tuned. You never know.
Let's not put it into the air.
We spoke it into existence, possibly. Only to us, folks. Here we go. Handoff starting now. A little bit of a ground attack, which is rare and, in my opinion, very much welcome. You talked about it in the halftime break. David Anderson gets a carry.
Yeah, it's almost like a unicorn stumbling onto the field at this point. The third rush in 2.5 quarters now for Baltimore.
Delayed handoff? No, they go pass here to Chima. I think he held that one a little bit longer. I feel like that was a little bit of an RPO there with the option to hand off. Instead, he fires it quickly to Chima and falls incomplete.
Yeah, the hard hit from Hatsis on his back forces that one incomplete. He's really showing his stuff as the rookie in this game.
You know what's so interesting about this? Since that first big play, it feels like Baltimore has kind of stumbled a little bit. That first big play of the third quarter, and that's since then, Denver's had their number. Tough sledding here, 3rd and 5, empty set. Wigmore throwing with time, and there he's able to complete. Over the middle, again, it's your man, Cha-ching, Reggio Dinero for the first.
It is Wigmore, the longtime Baltimore State, with his 17th completion of this one, puts him 6th all-time in completions, passing the former Queen City Corsair, A.J. Caswell.
All kind of stats in this one, my friend. All kinds of records to mention. We love games like this. This has been a dandy, folks. It's going to be hard-pressed to find another game in any league this weekend that's as good as this. Now, Wigmore throwing into coverage, and I think they're going to get a PI. I'm not sure, but it feels that way.
Looks like it. Again, the penalties making their mark. That one is against Denver's Chuck Diesel, who has been sensational up to this point. Really his first mistake that I can remember. I mean, he was blocking, impeding the route completely, had no chance to get to the ball. You just can't do that, and on what would have been an incompletion, now pushes Baltimore past the 50.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Like you said, such a good, clean game that's been played by Chuck Diesel today, but it does give Baltimore a fresh set of downs. And keep an eye on number 10, who's moving from left to right on the screen. Up to the top side. Ivy Irvin. Wigmore looking towards the middle of the field. Another flag, and I think we're going to another pass interference. Yep.
And if it's Chuck Diesel again, Denver might have to pull out the ruler. It's not. Another linebacker, however, Luis Quintana.
Another inside linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to see that one again on the replay, but with the previous call, I think the refs have got their stamp of approval from me on what to call and what to not.
Yeah. You know, that's tough, and there's a good play is one thing, but to lose momentum due to penalties such as that's just a whole different level of frustration for a team, a player, coach, an organization. Now you give Baltimore field goal range Wigmore throwing again into coverage there. Now, what hasn't been mentioned is that's 3 straight incompletions there by Wigmore. Of course, 2 of them negated, or I should say reversed by the penalty. But I think they're still trying to find their footing after the big 80-yard touchdown bomb.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a catch, in the last 3 plays, and they've got more yards than they have in previous drives.
Pressure coming. Wigmore unloads. It's incomplete. John Martin, as you've seen him on that that line audible, or should I say the linebacker audible, he kind of blended into the coverage and then shot forward, put the pressure on Wigmore to throw the incompletion. Empty set, which Wigmore has stayed out of this entire game, honestly. Reggio Dinero in motion. And 3rd and 10. Denver trying to bend but not break. Wigmore going to step up, going to run. He slides short of the first. What he does do, though, is he gets his field goal kicker into a little bit better territory.
Yeah, and I mean, this has to be frustrating if you're Denver, right?
Yeah.
When you played a good defensive drive, you just slipped up a few times, right? And you talk about how well their defense played, and now Baltimore narrowly going to get 3 points on, if you had a little bit of more disciplined football, what should have been a different type of kick from Tommy Powers, giving the ball back into your hands.
Iron Leg puts Baltimore back up by 3 with 1:48 remaining in this 3rd quarter. Folks, you're watching the Simulation Football League action right here on the Football Network. And this week on the VFN, it's SFL Week 9 tonight and tomorrow. Then it's the UFL playoffs that start Tuesday, September the 16th, as Denver will start from the 26-yard line. No other network gives you more football. We mentioned that earlier in the broadcast. The SFL lives on the Virtual Football Network.
Lives and thrives.
Absolutely. Thrives is the perfect word for it. Not to sound like public broadcasting here, but it's thanks to viewers like you. And, honestly, it is. Thank you all for tuning in, smashing the like button, sharing the great plays, the highlight clips, the podcast, as we mentioned. You guys make it possible for all of us to call these games on the weekend. We appreciate it. Blanton throwing across the middle. Dylan Lewis, what a great setup. Great play design. And that guy's speedy, and when he gets into open field, he can really make men miss.
Yeah, an open field that was caught it underneath. You're going to see another look at it here. Not a vulture within 5 yards of him. And you just have that much space in front of you. Continue running east to west, angle it forward, and just get as many yards as you can. Well past the sticks as Lewis passes the century mark. And what was a quiet game for him to start, but after that huge explosive catch for 63, he's now past 100.
Yeah, he opened it up. Now O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, my gosh.
Man, that guy has taken some hits. They've got a target on him, no doubt, a bullseye painted on him. That's Jeff Milanishin, the second season man here in Baltimore. 11 seasons total, but this is his second here with the Vultures, making a great play.
And Milanishin gets 50 on that bullseye because he nailed it.
Down to the final minute of this 3rd quarter. The carry, they go right back to O'Shaughnessy, who gets a hard-earned 5 yards, and that'll set them up nicely for a 3rd and 5 situation to where they could really choose either run or pass. They've been very effective in short yardage situations.
And it looks like Baltimore going to set their defense up in sort of a dime hybrid look as they have one back and that familiar 2 right to the center.
Oh my goodness. It was so crazy. It looked like he had time to scan the field before, guess who? Nate Brown again. That guy was running faster than I think I have seen any 343-pound man.
Yeah, and Nate Brown is just dominating that right guard of Denver up to this point. I mean, he has just made a living in this one. Getting past him, these swim moves have been lethal. He has hands that are as quick as knives right now because he's looking dominant.
We're through 3 frames, folks. 1 quarter left to play in the chat. If you would get your 4s up. We're going to quarter number 4. Baltimore leads Denver 16-13. You're watching the SFL on the Virtual Football Network. camera duty here with DJ Kilgan and Justin Reside in the Stats truck and Cameron Irvine at SFL HQ as the shadows are growing long here on the field at Richard L. Snowden Stadium. What's been a fantastic game up to this point. Jordan Bradshaw to punt this one away. Another fair catch called for right at the 25. They'll actually mark him at the 26. And for Baltimore, their best opportunity since before the half ended in the first half to maybe pull away just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's interesting to see as this game comes to a close with Baltimore's offensive scheme. You know, when they're leading and how they've been playing up to this point, it's going to be hard for them to chew clock away.
Wigmore again throwing out the empty set. Quickly finds Ivory Irvin stride. A quick 10, if you will, for another first down.
Yeah, and those quick passes that just attack the inside routes of Denver have really been successful for Baltimore when Wigmore has the time for them to develop. Ivory Irvin especially, and Mac Chima you've seen live on those up to this point in the game.
Wigmore's new zip code reads empty set.
It does.
On the address, for sure. 3 receivers now to the right side. Number 9 with plenty of time, rolling out left all day. Scans the field and finds Ivory Irvin. Somehow the guy was able to get open in the free roaming range there of the middle of the field. Nobody was really around him.
Yeah, and we talked about how when Baltimore can let routes develop, you give Wigmore enough time to throw. He's going to find somebody, and Irvin again is the one he finds. Irvin now has more targets in this game than Wigmore has completions.
A really nice cushion of space for him there to work with. And now quickly going back to Reggio Dinero, trying to climb the ladder over top those Night Wings defenders, and that is thwarted. Once again, Chuck Diesel with another great play.
Yeah, and I mean, these defenders, you know, they're lighting up the stat sheet when it comes to pass deflections, but it's hard not to with how much they're throwing the ball now. And now Wigmore finally having a teammate in the backfield for him.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to use him in the rushing game or if he's got him back there for a block or maybe a pick or a screen. 2nd and 10, just a little over a minute played in this fourth quarter. Throwing quickly to Reggio Dinero. And what more can you say? That's a beautifully executed play by Ted Haynes, able to come up and jar the ball loose on a sure-handed Reggio.
Yeah, a name we haven't got to say too frequently for Denver, getting involved. A gorgeous hit on the hands, punches that ball flat, and now, again, we're going to see another pass for Baltimore. Dime look, looks like it's man-on-man for Denver.
And it's 3rd and 10, a big play coming here, pressure around the edges, throws too far ahead of his tight end, Benji Madsen, and Luis Quintana almost had the interception. Not able to get it, but they are able to push Baltimore into the special teams unit punt formation.
Now they're going to have to try and see if Tommy Powers can pin one deep for them. It could be very scary if he's able to.
No, that snap was close and low to the ground. Powers able to step up there, get a good punt, and he almost had him pinned deep. It does bounce into the end zone for the touchback. So, Denver not able to do anything on their previous drive, had to punt it away to start the fourth quarter. Their defense comes back out, and in 1 minute and 35 seconds was able to stop Baltimore offense from moving. Denver now with a chance to see what they can do. On first down. Mosley! No, R.E. Mills, excuse me. He was in on the carry. Oh, my goodness. Dropped it. And somehow Denver able to fall back on it. That was Mills checked in for that play. My apologies, folks.
Could have been devastating. Kira Cool there for Denver, able to scoop that one up. The 2-year former Samurai able to scoop that one up on what could have been very, very dangerous for Denver. Now you got to shake that off.
Yeah. Fantastic awareness by Kiera. And it actually turns out to be a gain of 4 as O'Shaughnessy bowling over defenders to get the 1st and 10. That looked like a bowling ball hitting about 3 white bowling pins there.
Yeah, it sure did. The black and white symmetry makes it clear to see who wins that fight. And that time, it's O'Shaughnessy all the way. Gets the 10-10-10 on that rough hit.
Trellis Blanton now throwing a little bit behind Dylan Lewis. He makes the adjustment, though, to get 5 on the play.
He does, and back to this tactical, calculated offense here for Denver. Trellis Blanton connecting with Lewis again, pushing him further past the century mark. Trellis Blanton is 75% for completion up to this point.
Yeah, what a day he has had. A really good job to this point. The pressure coming, stands in there. Woo! And that was a scary throw. You could tell that it was Roy Towers trying to get his second interception of the day. He has kind of lived rent-free a couple times in Blanton's head. We've talked about his accuracy, but when he has had a couple missteps, Towers has been right there.
He sure has, and it was due to the Baltimore pressure again, forcing that quick throw out from Blanton on a route that wasn't fully developed.
3rd and 5 coming up for Denver. Pressure coming. It is picked up. Screen pass to O'Shaughnessy. A nice block thrown. That was the key to that play, folks. O'Shaughnessy had a head of steam, and it was picked up nicely. We'll get a chance to look at the replay here. Connect out front.
Great block. And you talk about an offense getting their running backs involved in the pass game. O'Shaughnessy, his 500th reception of his career, pushing past that mark as he gets well past the needed sticks. Denver, the drive going to continue, narrowing in at the 50.
6:51 and counting remaining in this ball game of regulation. And Logan killed. Oh, he's hit the ball. George loose, bounces out of bounds. So no harm, no foul. But my goodness, I want to see how he was able to pocket that pass.
Yeah, let's get another look at it. Enough time to throw. Blanton, a dart.
Oh.
Again, Towers in the area, standing tall, tries to play defense there, but Blanton, I mean, you have Towers playing off that back hip. He has to try and get in front of him and get around him to make a play. Just couldn't.
Yeah, take a look at the pass distribution for Blanton.
Wow.
Middle to right, that has been his bread and butter so far in this game. Not much on the left side. Pressure's picked up again. Kill with the reception. He gets 4 on 1st down. Nice safe play there. The ball stays securely under the arm as well. It's important. We've seen 2 fumbles on this series.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. 2 fumbles already that you were lucky enough to not let fall into the hands of Baltimore. They're vultures. They're scavengers. If you let that ball fall again, I can only imagine they're not going to let it go away from them a 3rd time.
Yeah, now screen pass set up nicely again. Kleinect blocking out front. 1st and goal for Denver. To this point, the best drive I've seen this entire game by them, even with the fumbles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what more can you ask for out of your tight end, Cam? I mean, you have Kleinect go out on a route perfectly, just guiding O'Shaughnessy like a guard dog, if you will. He's running out in front of him, and he doesn't really lay out a block, but he's just like a dam in a river, right? Just playing enough protection to let him run safely near the sideline.
Well, that dam is doing a good job indeed. Now, flying home to the end zone. It's a touchdown, and I get to call Jeremy Mosley's name. I tried to do it earlier. This time he gets the TD. Denver into the lead for the first time today, late in this one.
Yeah, and Cam, you mentioned earlier Mosley was very, very, he was very slow to start the first half. He was getting stopped at the line, getting stopped for a loss. It seemed like Baltimore had his number. The last 3 or 4 runs we've seen out of him have all been positive, and that time he finally pushes across the goal line in a very successful drive. And like you said, the best of the day for Denver, I'd argue. 9 plays, 80 yards, and chewing off a decent bit of clock.
Jordan Bradshaw's extra point is good. Now, folks, we've still got about half a quarter left to play, but in my book, this has been the best this Denver Nightwings offense has looked this entire season. It's been great. Can they finish? Or can Baltimore come up and make the big play at the end of this one as the narrow brings us out to the 24? We've got our first SFL game break of the day. Cameron Irvine, good afternoon, my friend. Happy Saturday.
Thank you, Cameron. Happy Saturday. And as good as Chicago's offense has been in this game, their defense has been just as spectacular. Sully Richardson shedding a sack before Derek Majors gets the one-handed pick. Chicago's up 27-3 on Los Angeles. Back to you in Denver.
Thank you, sir. What an incredible play over there. Man, there's been some great football this afternoon in the early block of the SFL and so much more to come. Now Wigmore trying to mount a comeback. The pass incomplete. Again, a little too far out ahead of his intended target. Clock stops with 5:49.
Yep, and Baltimore, I mean, there's not a whole lot of time left to play. You got half a quarter to go, and still we're going to see them continue this passing assault from Wigmore. Maybe a few on the ground wouldn't hurt them. I know we've said it a few times.
Yeah, indeed. But again, back to the air. They go, interception. You play with fire. Eventually, you're going to get burned. Chuck Diesel has been all around it all day long. He snags that one out of the air.
Yeah, if you're playing with that fire, you're going to need some protection. That time, you don't have it. Chuck Diesel makes a huge play. The linebacker who has been all over the field up to this point. No pass interference on that one. Chuck Diesel takes it the other way. He gets a pat on the back, and I can only imagine he has paid his dividends as far as letting that drive go all the way downfield earlier with the penalties.
He gets retribution for them interceptions.
He sure does.
I mean, that's
vengeance was made.
At the most important time. 5:44 remaining in regulation. Denver leads. Quick setup. That's going to say positive yards of a 1 yard there for Michael Goodman, who had to come back for that one. So Baltimore, rather, does a good job of stopping that. But now it's all about your time of possession right here if you are Denver.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 4-point game now. Even if you don't score, Baltimore needs a touchdown. But if you're able to get a field goal, it forces a touchdown, and even then it doesn't take the lead.
Blanton steps up. The pass complete to
Wow.
Dylan Lewis, who dives under 1-2 defenders. Still on his feet, down to the 7-yard line. You think they don't want this win bad? Think again. Look at the motivation from these players to finish this off.
The All Blacks shooting well because it is a funeral for this secondary, and Dylan Lewis is the one putting the dirt on. Of age 2, a third fights his way on the sideline with him and finally brings him down on right outside the 5. What a play. Dylan Lewis closing in on a $150.
And what an attaboy for Dylan Lewis. Not for the reception, not for the missed tackles. He was fighting to stay in bounds, keep the clock running. He does so. Mosley turning sideways, trying to get around the edge, gets close to the end zone. Some good yards gained, though. Second goal on the way.
Struggles turn to triumphs as Mosley again gets another successful run. And let's see if again they can prove us wrong and see if their red zone offense can succeed once more.
About 1.5 yards out. The handoff. O'Shaughnessy, touchdown. It's a 10-point lead prior to the extra point. Where did that come from? Save the best for last.
Came from that bag that is so deep for O'Shaughnessy. Another rough run. Gets hit before the end zone. Stiff arms him into that beautiful black turf of the end zone. And again, Denver is able to punch it in. You look back to the start of this game, Cam. We talk about how unsuccessful they are in their red zone defense, how good Baltimore is, or their red zone offense, excuse me. You talk about how successful Baltimore is at stopping people in the red zone. And Denver says, you know what? If that's what we need to do, that's what we're going to do. And they have looked like a whole nother ball club when it comes to their red zone offense, their rushing attack, punching in 3 now. A pair for Bailey and 1 for Mosley. They are looking sensational.
The most points scored this entire season for Denver. It couldn't have come at a more opportune time.
Yep.
And a beautiful game plan that has certainly worked to fruition up to this point. I think slow and steady wins the race. The very methodic scheme versus the very almost erratic empty set that we've seen Baltimore out of all day long. While it's proved good at times for Baltimore, right now they are down by 11 with 4:16 to go in regulation. Empty set once more. They could strike fast. We know that for sure. Mac Chima went in motion. Nobody to the right side of Wigmore to even consider looking at, unless it's Matson off the line here. They throw short, bobbled, and incomplete. The clock stops on 2nd and 10.
And you know, with the style of offense they're playing, if anyone's going to be able to score twice in 4 minutes, it's going to be Baltimore. But now you have given Denver 3.5 quarters to learn your passing attack, to inherit traits that'll help stop it. And now you have to try and score twice in 4 minutes, like we previously mentioned, against that defense who has done so well at stopping you.
Wigmore back to throw. Again, nice job with the offensive line picking up any pressure. He finds Ivory Irvin right at the sticks for a fresh set of downs. Clock running, 4 minutes remaining.
And you look back at the history of these two teams is what, something we talked about a lot earlier in this game. The lowest scoring win we have seen between Baltimore and Denver was a 27-point win in season 15. Baltimore won 27-24 over the Nightwings. We're seeing that 27-point mark get hit now.
Yeah, Wigmore throwing. Oh, middle tip, interception! That key ball game finding its way into the hands of Luke Schreiner. What a play.
We got to see this again. Somebody set that play up like a volleyball setter, and I need to know who it was. We're not getting... Oh, he's on the ground there. Somebody jumped up a good 3-4 feet in the air to bat that one up. Looked like Michael Jordan out there.
Was it Burgett?
I really couldn't tell. It might have been Burgett. Actually, you know what? I think it was John Martin. I think I saw a pair of 5s.
Okay, I seen a 5. I couldn't make out the other digit. Oh, wow. The last 5 Baltimore drives. Interception, field goal, punt. Now 2 interceptions, and Bailey says, give it to me. I'll take it on cruise control and stays in bounds.
Man, I mean, the Denver fans are erupting right now. Baltimore looking shaky as this Denver defense did so well at adjusting to that passing attack come the second half, and they are owning this game right now as the offense they have been able to produce up to this point is going to thrive with 3.5 minutes to go. They're going to be able to chew the clock like a beaver in a forest.
Great analogy. I can always, talking about serving things up, I can always set you up for a good analogy. Go have my back, my friend. That was poetic. Poetic. Almost down to 3 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Play clock down to 5. Yep, milk it just as long as you can. Now, with the handoff to number 46, Chris Massey, the fullback, getting some playing time here in this one. He gets a good solid 5 yards.
Now, you got about a good, 15 yards to go to be able to reach into the end zone, and you got about 2.5 minutes to chew left on the clock. You're going to be able to run the ball a few more times. Yep, they're inside the 10, it looks like. One thing you got to see from Denver, hold on to the football. You got to preach it on the sidelines right now. After a previous 2 fumble drive, they got lucky enough to keep them both. Hold on to the ball.
There's the snap. They give it to Jeremy, who does hold on to the football. He doesn't get any forward progress as he is stopped right there by Alvin Mack, number 56, who's had a good day today. This is going to bring them down, though, to the 2-minute warning, and that's huge.
Certainly is. Baltimore gets their freebie of a timeout, but at this point, we're almost assuredly going to see at least a field goal from Denver. And if their red zone offense stays as true as it has, really turning that narrative, then it's going to be more of a lead than that.
Folks, going to expect a good finish here. Definitely Baltimore not going to go down without a fight, but for Denver here, they want to solidify this victory. Snap a 3-game winning streak by Baltimore in this series. Mosley with the stiff arm, not able to turn the corner. Timeout called for by Baltimore. Now for Denver, they will be able to bring Bradshaw in to try to make this, or try to tack on 3 points, if you will, try to make this a 2-score game.
Yeah, and I like the play call. 3rd and 5, you're not going to run often in that down and distance. But, you have to burn a timeout for Baltimore there with that run. Keeps the clock going. And they will nail the field goal, pushing them up to 30 points and a 2-touchdown lead now.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-touchdown lead indeed. With 1:53 to go, the score 30-6. Folks, quickly, I want to give you a programming note. Coming up tonight, it's a special Saturday night spectacular. The Season 24 Championship rematch between the Vancouver Legion and the Mexico City Aztecs. 2 teams once again in the hunt for this season's crown. And the kickoff is at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's right here on the Virtual Football Network. Believe me, you don't want to miss it. Great day of football here on the VFN. And it's starting off right, no doubt. Talk about getting a shot laid to him. De Niro took his hardest shot of the day, delivered there by number 60, Willie Whitehead.
Sure did. The money slow to run out there. A tough hit. Oh, man. Puts a stop to it. Red line on the card.
Just about knocked all the change out of the cash register with that one.
That's right. Pickpocketed through the drawers and everything.
Phew. A minute 48 to go in this one. We expect what we've seen all day from Baltimore, which is high-flying offense. And that is what we'll get as we see De Niro going once more in motion. Throwing. You expect it. De Niro across midfield. They're going to start moving fast here. Again, we know they're really 2-minute warning, that 2-minute drill. Another timeout taken by Baltimore.
You know, one thing we had said on the last drive that this is the type of offense you need when it comes to these scenarios. But, I mean, Denver's defense has played against it all game. They know what's coming. They know what sets they like to pass out of. They know the route trees. It's going to be hard for Wigmore to be able to push down and score twice with the amount of time they have left, but it's possible.
Yes, it is. Wigmore with time, scanning the middle of the field. He finds Matson, and there's yet another timeout called. So, you know, able to get the completion, but again, having to burn those timeouts pretty quickly. And that could actually be beneficial for what Denver's trying to accomplish here.
Yep.
Forces them to have to hurry up here. Wigmore throwing, going for the long ball. He finds Irvin. They down inside the 10, clock running, no huddle. Now first and goal. Wigmore, end zone, tipped, incomplete. The clock will stop with 1:23, and it's second and goal.
Yeah, that one connecting with Blake Prine, getting his fourth pass deflection of the day. Ty leading with Chuck Diesel, the linebacker now. As Baltimore, their field is short, going to be harder to pass the ball now as they do have a guy in the backfield.
Yes, the halfback lined up to the right of Wigmore, now throwing to the end zone, batted. A scary play there, could have been intercepted. It was certainly contested. Let's take a look.
Yeah, and it's a tight throw, and again, it's Blake Prine who makes the hit on the ball carrier, or the receiver, excuse me, as he's trying to haul it in.
That's Jerome Riley.
Yeah, that's Riley who was trying to haul that one in. Now it's third and goal. You got two more tries against a very formidable Denver defense. And now in this one, as it continues, it looks like Baltimore is the team that's struggling to score in the red zone.
Yes, it is. Good defense to this point by Denver. Will it continue? Throwing end zone short. Clock will continue to run, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
It is tackled inbounds. Parker Thomas with the tackle.
Yep. Now this is all or nothing here. If you don't score, you are out of it. This only bringing 3 for Denver.
Could very well be the game. Wigmore throwing, sets it up. The pass is complete, but short of the end zone. And again, we've said bend, don't break this entire game. And look at that, pushing back there, pushing a big number 77, Gerald Cumbus, with the assist to keep him out of the end zone. It's turned over on downs.
And now you're in a scary situation if you're Denver, because you can't kneel the ball. You have to run and at least gain some yardage or pass, but you have to gain some yards or Baltimore's going to get the ball back.
There's some intrigue there, stuffed at the line for a moment, but R.E. Mills able to push his way through. They just give it to the big guy with the neck roll there.
Yep.
And kind of Mike All started his way through the line.
And now again, even if you kneel it, you put yourself in the same exact situation as you were in previously. It's a tough spot for Denver. Maybe keep your runs inside the guards. If you try a toss play or anything crazy like that, it could result in a safety from Baltimore just because of how long that route will have to develop. Now we're going to see that cross handoff to that right side.
Clock continuing to run, 17 seconds. This does look like it could be the final play of this game. Play clock down to 2. It is a handoff to Mosley, and that'll do it.
That's it.
Folks, the 3-game winning streak by Baltimore snapped. Denver to 3-3. Baltimore falls to 2-4 on the season. Denver, they get their statement win. They came into this event looking for. Final score, Denver 30, Baltimore 16. DJ, I'll give you the final thoughts and the game balls if you have any, my friend.
Well, you talk about a team being able to adapt. Denver turns one of their biggest weaknesses coming into the week being their red zone offense, and they turn it into what was a sensational display of rushing on the goal line as they punch 3 rushing touchdowns across, and they make their biggest weakness the biggest weakness of the Vultures tonight as they hold them. Ivory Irvin, you see there, 222 for his yards total. And wow, I mean, as far as game balls go, it's tough because you had some tremendous performances, but you know, O'Shaughnessy just under the century mark, had 2 touchdowns. I think I'll go with him.
Folks, it's been a pleasure, a true great game to start this afternoon block. We was proud to be a part of it. For Cameron Irvine, Justin Raside, and my partner DJ Kilgannon, I'm Cameron Duty. Enjoy the rest of today's games of this weekend's football action. You've been watching the SFL on the Virtual Football Network.